Hello and welcome to the course. Let's jump in and just get started. In this first lesson, we'll get a basic overview of Bildr, starting a project, a tour of the studio where your apps are created, and that tour will cover creating pages, how to build layouts for them, add styling to them, and incorporate actions for users to take in your project and your apps. So we're starting here at bildr.com where I have an account, and I'm just going to go ahead and sign in to get access to my projects. So now we're signed in. Obviously, if you're a new user, you will have a blank slate here. You won't have any projects, but you go ahead and just start by creating a new one here in the top right. You can see on the left, I have my projects. And underneath that, for some of these projects, you can see other avatars besides my own. So that's where you can invite other people to come and work in and pitch in on your projects and help you do your work, or share projects together. And then in the middle column, are projects that I'm collaborating on, so ones I've been invited into as well. On the right, my pattern library is empty. We'll get into patterns near the end of the course, but essentially that is sharing things for other people to use into the Bildr community. So at the end of this course, we'll create the course app, and then I'll share that as a pattern for other users to clone and use in their own projects. But for now, let's get into the studio. So we'll go into my website that was built in Bildr and where this course is hosted. So the studio is basically a canvas for all your work. So you can pan and zoom and see the different pages that make up this course app project. And in each project, you have different workspaces. So I have this workspace here called Courses, which hosts the pages that this course lives on. But I have another main workspace for the main part of my website. So basic example there is, that part of my workspace has to workspaces like this. Your canvas is easier to manage and navigate, but the course app pattern that I'll create will just have a single workspace because there's not too many pages to it and it's manageable. So pages are what make up your project. I gave the basic website example of a home page and an about page. It's something that you can publish to the web and it has its own URL. But pages can be used in other ways that we'll see in the course. I can create a page and use it in another page. So the example of that in this course will be loading a page that hosts the video lessons that are in a data collection into the main course page when a user clicks a button. And so you can see the pages for this workspace on the left panel here. As you create pages, simply by clicking the add button, dragging it into the canvas and giving it a name. I won't do that yet because the first lesson is going to cover creating our first page and working on it. The next big piece to the studio is elements. So elements are the things you see on a website or in a web app, things like buttons and containers and images. And so if I go to any page here, I can again click this add button and you can see examples of elements that you can use: headers, sections, features, footers, containers, typography, inputs, all the things you see in web apps and websites. And then because it is a long list, there's a nice search here. So I thought there was a lot of animations, but I didn't see it. So I can type and search for it. And again, if I wanted to add this into a page, I would just click and drag it into the page where I want to use it. And then there's actions. So actions are added to elements so users can interact with your site and do things. Basic examples you see is clicking a button to submit information into a form, clicking a button or an icon to load data on a screen, or dragging an element in your project to change its status from in progress to complete. So actions essentially are an abstraction of JavaScript, but you don't need to know any code to use them. So in an example here, I have an action on the admin page for this course, which is to click a button and save a lesson. And so we'll see all different types of actions that we'll use in the course to allow the users to interact with your course app. Some of the examples of actions that are built into Bildr we can see here. I'll just create an action that I'll delete later. But to give you a sense of what you can do is interacting with any of the elements you see on your pages, doing things with conditional logic, doing things with data, so archiving data records, creating data records, which we'll go through when we create our lessons, opening URLs and opening pages into other pages like I talked about in our project, and then connecting with APIs, either APIs that are integrated with already or connecting any endpoint you want, essentially. And then managing users. So we'll go through how to get users to sign up for a wait list for your course app in this course. But you can do lots of advanced user management things with resetting passwords, letting them sign in and sign out. Essential functionality to web applications. Now you can see some other things in the studio here that we'll learn about later in the course. How to add collaborators, getting a live view of your pages as you're working on them, publishing to the web, to a Bildr domain or a custom domain of your own. And under the menu, things like your project settings, patterns, which we talked about, building and using data collections, managing end users, and our design library where we save and fetch our images and our icons and things like that. That's it for the overview. In the next lesson, we'll dive in head first and create our first page, which will be the style guide for our app. Thanks.